I endured 3 years of extreme humiliation just to fulfill a deal with a system that promised resurrection only after accumulating enough points for heartbreak. Eventually, I chose to escape by jumping into the sea, returning to my original body. Meanwhile, the male lead clung desperately to my lifeless shell, refusing to let go as he knelt on the ground, calling my name through his tears. To me, however, his devastated figure resembled nothing more than a distraught dog. Today is my birthday. But my boyfriend Quincy didn't show up. He was at the hospital with his first love for a medical checkup. As I threw out the cold food, I emotionlessly watched the screen of my phone light up with his name. Taking a deep breath, I answered the phone, trying to sound considerate. Quincy, go ahead with your plans. I'll manage my birthday alone. I hadn't even finished when Quincy impatiently cut me off. At this time, you're still thinking about your birthday, don't you care at all? You have half an hour to get to the hospital and test if you're a kidney match for Anna, he demanded. I pursed my lips, not responding immediately. Anna was Quincy's first love, not mine. Why should I be the one to get tested? Why can't I celebrate my birthday? The system then warned me, the host must not resist. You need to maintain the professional spirit of a tragic heroine. With a sigh, I softly agreed and hung up the phone. Ding, on your birthday. Being asked by your boyfriend to donate a kidney to his first love earns you 50 heartbreak points. The disappointed expression on my face vanished, replaced by a slight smile. Just a bit more suffering, and soon, I'll have enough points to leave this body and go home. As expected, the matching was very successful. Quincy, overwhelmed with joy, excitedly lifted Anna and spun her around 3 times on the spot. Meanwhile, as his actual girlfriend, I felt like an awkward third wheel. Quincy, put me down, people are watching, Anna cooed as she playfully tapped on Quincy's chest, glancing at me with a hint of intention. Clearly, I was the outsider she referred to. Quincy glanced at me with a frown and carefully set Anna down. Anna patted Quincy's hand and then walked up to me, looking pitifully into my eyes. Penny, I'm really sorry to have you donate a kidney to me, but don't worry, Quincy and I will definitely repay your kindness, Anna said. Her expression so genuine that for a moment, it seemed like she and Quincy were the real couple, despite being the one who had been by Quincy's side for 3 years and was about to get engaged to him. I simply looked down, staring blankly at my toes, feeling disgusted by the manipulative situation and not wanting to respond. Anna is talking to you, didn't you hear her? Quincy stepped forward, impatiently turning my shoulders towards him. Didn't you say you loved me enough to do anything for me? How come now you hesitate to donate just one kidney to Anna? Seeing my hesitation, Quincy scoffed, his question sharp and cold. Penny, is your love for me just lip service? Desperate to go home, I forced myself to play the role of someone madly in love, even genuinely feeling part of it. But this is how Quincy saw me. I sniffed, tears streaming down uncontrollably, until I saw a trace of softness and guilt appear on Quincy's face. Then, with stubborn defiance, I raised my head, my voice hoarse. I'm willing to donate a kidney to Anna. As soon as I said this, a ding echoed in my mind. Humiliated by boyfriend in front of his first love, heartache points increased by 10. I suppressed a smile, thought of the most painful thing, and wept heart-wrenchingly. Leaving the hospital, I couldn't help myself and went to glimpse my own hospital room from a distance. Since the car accident, I had strangely been bound to this heart-wrenching system, living in a different body, and hadn't seen my parents for 3 years. I dared not meet them, fearing I couldn't resist recognizing them and might reveal my identity. But now, I was close to completing my task. Just this once, I indulged myself. Just a distant glance at them was enough. Several bodyguards stood at the door of the hospital room, preventing me from getting closer. So I sat nearby and waited a long time before seeing my parents supporting each other as they walked out. My mother's hair, mostly turned silver, and my father's one straight back now bent. Not far away, I heard my father comforting my mother. It's okay, Penny will wake up, she definitely will. I clenched my fists. Mom and Dad, just wait a little longer for Penny, soon, I'll be able to come home. The kidney transplant was very successful. Anna recovered quickly. While my health declined day by day, Quincy cooked various nourishing soups for Anna every day, packed them in a thermal lunchbox, and delivered them to the hospital. Meanwhile, I stayed in the hospital room next to Anna, receiving only the standard meals provided by the hospital. His care and affection were all for Anna, as if in his heart, no matter what, I would never leave him. After all, over the past 3 years, I've been the most devoted follower by his side. He never needed to reciprocate my feelings because I would never leave him, no matter when or what happened. I would always appear at his beck and call, watching my heartache grow day by day. I felt joy yet also a sense of injustice. I couldn't understand why the better I treated a man, the less he seemed to cherish me. Why was it that Anna, who had abandoned Quincy to go abroad years ago, still remained his cherished first love when she reappeared? Why did loving someone fill one with so much courage, yet leave only sighs when it came time to express it? Quincy's mother came to the hospital to visit Quincy and also to see me. Quincy had never introduced me to his parents before, so this was my first time meeting his mother. Yet, when he first met Anna, he had brought her home to meet his mother under the guise of friendship. The moment I locked eyes with Quincy's mother, I saw disdain and a trace of sympathy. She put down the flowers she was holding, sat beside my bed, and said with the concern of an elder for a younger person, "You've had it tough, child. Quincy is thoughtless. He should visit you more." My face showed a hint of sadness, but I managed a strained smile, perfectly playing the role of a proud yet stubborn heroine in a tragic story. "It's okay, Auntie. Quincy is just too busy and forgot about me. I won't hold it against him." Quincy's mother shook her head, looking at me with pity. "Child, do you think Quincy loves you? Even as his mother, I feel he doesn't deserve your love." I looked stunned, pressed my lips together, and remained silent. Quincy's mother sighed and pulled a check from her bag. It's clear to anyone with eyes that Quincy's heart is set on Anna, and with Anna's education and family background, they are well matched. "I know you love Quincy deeply. So you'll let them be together, won't you?" Quincy's mother grabbed my hand, tears welling up in her eyes as if she truly cared for me. "It's such a pity, you've lost a kidney, and to others, that's a flaw. It will be hard for you to marry in the future. So, my dear, I've prepared $1 million for you as compensation." I was taken aback. Just after donating a kidney, this old lady is ready to discard me. Citing my physical incompleteness, a classic case of crossing the river and demolishing the bridge, before I could speak, Quincy burst into the room. "Mom, I can't break up with Penny. Stop interfering." Quincy and his mother both turned to look at him, completely baffled. Logically, Quincy should be happy since his mother was trying to rid him of a burden, enabling him to be with his first love. Yet, the anxiety and determination in Quincy's eyes when he entered were genuine. Now even I was confused about what Quincy really thought. Seeing our confused looks, Quincy quickly added, "The company is at a critical phase of acquiring shares. Breaking up with Penny now would cause a stir and damage the company's reputation." Realizing how far-fetched his reasoning sounded, confusion flickered in his eyes. "And Penny might die if she leaves me," Quincy repeated, as if convincing himself. "Yes, that's it. I'm just worried Penny might do something drastic." Perhaps even Quincy himself didn't understand what was truly on his mind when he stormed into the hospital room. The system timely announces, "Ding, boyfriend's mother spends money to force a breakup," adding 10 points to the heartache score. After Quincy's mother made a scene, not only did Quincy and I not break up, but we also ended up getting engaged in a daze. However, Quincy, fearing that Anna would be heartbroken, didn't make a big deal of the engagement and simply had a meal to celebrate. In an attempt to make it up to me, he started keeping his distance from Anna, intentionally or not, and spent more time with me, seemingly thinking that this was the greatest gift he could offer me. As I watched Quincy by my side, I grew increasingly anxious. I hoped he wouldn't suddenly start treating me well, or else what would happen to my mission? I was still a little short on the heartache points. Soon, fate delivered a major blow. Anna and I were kidnapped together. The kidnapper was a mid-level employee under the Jones family's corporation, who had been blacklisted industry-wide for leaking trade secrets and was also facing a substantial legal fine, driving him to desperation. This kidnapping was his meticulous plan for revenge against the Jones family. When pushed to the brink, a person can indeed become a killer. When Quincy arrived in haste, what he saw were both Anna and I hanging upside down from the Green River Bridge. The kidnapper, with bloodshot eyes and a sharp knife in hand, said, "Quincy, I know one of these is your fiancé and the other your first love. You've destroyed my family. I won't let you off easily. Today, you can only save one of these beauties. Will it be the one on the left or the right? You've got 10 seconds to decide." As he counted down, 10, 9, 8, 7, 3, 2, I remained silent, while Anna cried and kept calling out, "Quincy, save me." In the end, Quincy shouted in agony. The left one, the kidnapper glanced at me with a sneer. You're ruthless, kid. The next second, he approached me and swiftly cut the rope tied to my feet. I plummeted straight into the green river, too fast to even scream, before the water engulfed my head. The last scene I saw was Quincy rushing towards me in a daze, unsure whether his thoughts were of me or Anna. Ding, the male lead chose to save his first love over you. Heartache value max. Congratulations, host, on completing the heartache task. Would you like to leave your current body? Without hesitation, I said, leave. The next moment, my soul drifted out of my body, which then became an empty shell devoid of life. Not in a hurry to return to my original body, I hovered by the shore to watch how this drama would conclude. The police subdued the criminal, and Anna was surrounded by a team of rescuers. Quincy, however, seemed mad with grief and tried to jump into the river, but was restrained by the crowd. It was too late, everything was too late. I watched as the rescue team retrieved my lifeless shell, tried various resuscitation methods, all to no avail. Finally, they said with trembling voices, this girl, she can't be saved, that's impossible, she just fell in, at most she drowned, she can't be dead. Quincy, usually so proud, now looked carefully at the rescue worker, his Adam's apple bobbing as he tentatively asked, she's just passed out, right? The rescuer remained silent, only responding with a sad look and a mournful expression. Quincy's face turned pale instantly. Impossible, you're all lying, he muttered. Penny won't die, she said she'd never leave me. Quincy staggered towards the lifeless body, pushed through the crowd, and finally collapsed on the ground. His mouth twitched as he tremulously picked up the cold body from the ground, speaking to her for the first time in a pleading and careful tone. Penny, stop it, wake up. I want to eat the food you make, can you get up and cook for me? All that responded to him were Anna's sobs and the noisy debates of the onlookers. This young man must have really loved his fiancée, right? Seeing how distressed he is makes my heart clench. You don't know the half of it. This guy chose to save that little seductress, which led to his fiancée's death. Damn, he didn't appreciate her when she was alive. And now he puts on this show of deep affection after she's dead. Isn't that despicable? I can't stand this anymore. I feel like killing him. You know what? I actually feel like slapping him a few times. Quincy completely ignored the comments from the crowd and even shifted to avoid Anna's embrace. He clung tightly to the corpse, his eyes red, refusing to let go no matter who tried to persuade or pull him away. As the sky burst into heavy rain, the crowd quickly dispersed. Quincy was soaked through, with raindrops streaming down his face and into his collar. Anna was the first to get into the car, while a few rescue workers struggled to pull Quincy away from the shell called Penny. In the moment they were separated, Quincy, despite his usual fastidiousness about cleanliness, disregarded his disheveled state and lunged forward like a madman, tightly grasping the hand of the corpse. Finally, the rescue workers had to pry his fingers open one by one. Quincy's grip came up empty, and the last glimmer of life in his eyes faded. Penny, I was wrong, I really was. Can I come and be with you? I rolled my eyes coldly. Who cares about his company? I find Quincy's display of affection terribly unconvincing, probably only moving to himself. Boring. I couldn't bother to look at him any longer and drifted back to the hospital. Returning to my own vegetative body, suddenly, the vegetative person lying in the bed sat up. Two major events have unfolded in the upper echelons of City A. Penny, the daughter of the William family who was in a coma for 3 years following a car accident, has finally awakened. Meanwhile, Quincy from the Jones family has introduced a new fiancée, Anna, a well-educated returnee from prestigious overseas institutions. Although Anna's family wealth may not match that of the Jones, she is nonetheless an heiress in her own right. The tragic death of an orphan girl who drowned in a river seems forgotten as people marvel at the new couple, praising them as a perfect match in both talent and beauty. When I read this news, it felt all too predictable. No matter how intensely Quincy mourned or how deeply he seemed to suffer at my death, it was impossible for him to remain devoted to someone he hardly cared for when I was alive. Anna was his first love during his youth, someone he always cherished. With me out of the picture, there are no barriers between them anymore. I thought these 3 years had been a nightmare, and waking up meant it was all for nothing. Yet, when I saw Quincy and Anna's names prominently on the guest list at the party, my heart skipped a beat. I followed my father around, greeting various uncles, and then sat in a corner with a glass of wine, my smile turning cold and distant. through my wine glass. I saw Quincy in his crisp suit and the radiant Anna beside him. Quincy seemed unsettled, frequently checking his phone and subtly shunning Anna's touch. Anna's smile was stiff, no longer the picture of someone basking in adoration. Whenever someone came to toast, she would lean towards Quincy, putting on a strained display of marital bliss. "What are you looking at?" a familiar and handsome face asked, waving a hand in front of me. I looked up, slightly startled. "Why are you here?" I blurted out. "Robin, my fiancé," smiled with a deep implication. "As your fiancé, I should be by your side to protect you anytime," he said. I grimaced slightly. "I never agreed to consider you my fiancé." I hadn't expected to wake up from a 3-year sleep to find a devoted fiancé. Robin, my childhood friend, might seem carefree, but he was reliable when it mattered. After my accident, besides my parents, Robin was the most devastated. He moved his contracts to my hospital room, learned massage from the nurses, and held my hand, speaking sweet nothings. "Penny, will you marry me when you wake up?" he'd say. "If you don't respond, I'll take it as a yes." I hated being arranged. I wouldn't acknowledge him as my fiancé until I understood my own feelings towards Robin. Frowning at the food prepared by the hosts, I noticed they included chestnut cake, which I loved but was allergic to the nuts inside. Robin noticed this too and stood up to ask the waiter to prepare a nut-free version. The waiter was surprised. What a coincidence. Another gentleman just asked for the same thing, a chestnut cake without nuts. The waiter brought out the cake and first approached Quincy, placing it in front of him with a smile. Quincy, deep in thought, spoke briefly with the waiter, who then gestured towards me. Quincy's gaze lingered on me for a long moment. I avoided his stare, but he walked over with the cake. Even though I knew I looked completely different from before, my heart pounded, and I instinctively grasped Robin's arm, feeling my palms sweat. "Why are your palms sweating?" Robin casually turned my hand over and wiped the thin layer of sweat. Watching Robin, I felt a sudden calm. I was now the Penny who was loved and chosen, not the orphan Penny who depended on Quincy to feel alive. The old Penny might have been swayed by every little expression of Quincy's, but not anymore. Quincy's voice interrupted my thoughts. "Miss Penny, right, here's your chestnut cake." I looked up to meet his gaze, quickly noticing a hint of probing in his eyes. My gaze drifted down to see a pair of rings hanging from a pendant on Quincy's chest. I recognized the design instantly. It was one I had chosen myself, the engagement rings for Penny, an orphan, and Quincy. "Thank you," I said naturally as I took the chestnut cake without using a spoon, instead bringing it directly to my lips for a big bite. Eating cake this way had always been my habit, and I thoroughly enjoyed the satisfaction of that first bite. Quincy's eyes lit up a bit more. He stared intently at me, his gaze almost piercing through my soul. I knew he was capturing every little detail of how I ate the cake, looking for similarities between me and the Penny he remembered. Since he was searching, I decided to let him. I wasn't afraid of being discovered, on the contrary, I was looking forward to it. Robin frowned and stepped in front of me. "Mr. Quincy, thank you for bringing the chestnut cake for my fiancé, but you can leave now." At the word fiancé, a sharp look flashed across Quincy's eyes, but he quickly masked it. "Miss Penny, I didn't mean to offend you. It's just that our tastes are remarkably similar, and you share a name with someone I know. I think we could be friends." I put down the chestnut cake and met Quincy's gaze with a look of unfamiliarity and detachment. "Mr. Quincy, if you have a business proposal, you should speak to my father, not me, and if it's just about being friends." I glanced sideways at Robin, who was clearly jealous, and smiled. "I don't think that's necessary." Quincy started to say something else, but I cut him off. "Mr. Quincy, everyone in the circle knows you and your fiancé are very much in love. Don't keep her waiting." I nodded towards the back, where Anna was looking over anxiously. If Quincy didn't return soon, she might come over herself. Quincy pursed his lips, his interest apparently deepening. "Miss Penny, you really remind me of someone I know, not just the name, but even your tastes and habits are exactly the same. I don't believe in coincidences to this extent. I think we'll be seeing each other again soon." With that, Quincy turned and walked away. After Quincy walked away, Robin tugged at the hem of my dress with a pitiful look. "I don't like the way Quincy looks at you," he said, "that aggressive, determined stare. You can tell he's up to no good. Penny, just say the word, and I don't care who he is. I'll teach him a lesson." I raised my hand, and Robin immediately bowed his head, letting me tousle his hair. "Let's not get jealous now, mister. President Robin, don't get yourself worked up, don't worry. Quincy won't get the better of me. I left out the part where Quincy had professed his love for me in front of that dead body. I wanted to see how much he truly loved me. I wanted to make him my dog. Quincy was quick to act, soon finalizing a collaboration with the William family. The next day, he called me to meet about the project. Smiling, I agreed and deliberately chose the restaurant I used to love. Quincy arrived in a meticulously ironed suit, wearing the cufflinks I had given him. Though I had no idea where he'd found them, I had saved up for a long time to buy them for his birthday, and amid a plethora of dazzling gifts, those cufflinks were the least conspicuous. Quincy had barely glanced at them before tossing them aside. I never gave him another gift after that. He didn't deserve it. Mr. Quincy, you're late. You should have a penalty drink. Quincy sat down with a smile. Indeed, I should, as he reached for the wine glass. I swatted his hand away and handed him a whole bottle of port wine instead. Quincy paused, his smile freezing on his face. I tilted my head at Quincy, adding fuel to the fire. I know what you want to talk about today. Drink this bottle, and I'll stay to chat. If you don't drink, I'm leaving right now. Quincy's expression grew murky, his fingers constantly rubbing the bottle. I knew Quincy had a mild alcohol allergy. This high-proof port wine was like poison to him. I blinked at Quincy, pretending to stand up. In desperation, Quincy grabbed me, gritted his teeth, and started gulping down the bottle. After a few heavy swigs, the spilling wine stained his white shirt red, and then he stopped to cough wildly. That's enough, I said, wiping the wine stains from his lips, mocking him. Mr. Quincy, you really do have a good capacity for alcohol. Quincy grabbed my hand and looked up into my eyes. You're Penny, aren't you? You know what I want to ask. His pupils quivered, his body trembled slightly. I've had people look into it. You were in a car accident and fell into a coma, and that's exactly when Penny appeared by my side. Now Penny is dead, and you've woken up. If having the same name and habits is a coincidence, this timing is a bit too eerie. Quincy pursed his lips, trying to read my emotions. Maybe I'm really insane, but I came here today to hear your answer. I need you to tell me, are you really my Penny? I stared back at Quincy, his eagerness tinged with madness, and suddenly laughed. Quincy, you've already got what you wanted with Anna, so why bother with her? The Penny who loved you is dead, drowned in Green River. To still speak of love after death, isn't that pathetic? I lashed out at Quincy with the most venomous and vile words, cursing the so-called love he professed. As I cursed, tears streamed down my face. I had endured this for 3 whole years. I didn't want to be a weak, easily manipulated, tragic heroine. I just wanted to go home. I endured Quincy and Anna's humiliations over and over again, endured them trampling on my dignity repeatedly. I hated them. I truly fucking hated them. My furious curses seemed to only brighten Quincy's eyes, as if injecting him with vitality. Penny, I'm sorry. I really am a fucking asshole, Quincy admitted. Do you know, it was only when I really lost you that I realized what I had missed. That day, I even thought about dying with you. I'll never do that again. When I get back, I'll make things clear with Anna, and from now on, I'll love you properly. Quincy tried to embrace me, but I pushed him away. I wiped the tears from my face and glared at him. Quincy, do you think just crying and talking counts as loving me? Quincy immediately sat up straight and declared, Penny, if you can forgive me, I'll do anything. That was exactly what I was waiting to hear. Then go donate a kidney. I retorted, go to the hospital, get typed. Donate your kidney to someone in need, then come back to me. I used his own words to mock him. Quincy, you keep saying you love me, but would you really not even give up a kidney? After that, I picked up my bag from the table and walked away without looking back. This is your first test. Don't disappoint me, my dog. Quincy publicly announced the cancellation of his engagement to Anna and then actually went through with donating a kidney. He truly experienced the agonizing recovery period that followed the donation, physically drained and often in pain to the point of fainting. He also had to endure having a catheter attached. It was a full-on assault, both physically and mentally. At his lowest point, Quincy called me, pleading for me to visit him. Out of humanitarian concern, I went to see him, bringing flowers and Robin with me. Quincy tried several times to speak to me, but Robin casually dismissed his attempts. As for holding my hand, Quincy shouldn't even think about it. Looking at the frail Quincy on the hospital bed, I suddenly became curious about his mother's reaction, knowing her once proud and perfect son was now what she would consider incomplete. As I stood by Quincy's bed, I accidentally tripped over a chair. but Robin quickly caught me in his arms. Quincy opened his mouth as if to speak, his eyes dimming with despair, yet he was unable to utter a word. I understood his feelings all too well. Back when I donated a kidney to Anna, I had to listen to the joyful laughter of Quincy and Anna in the next room. Back then, I felt indifferent towards Quincy, so it was merely annoying. But now, Quincy's situation was different. I was now his desire, his so-called love. His sense of defeat and humiliation was 1,000 times greater than what I had felt. After Quincy was discharged from the hospital, he began a fervent campaign to win me back. The whole city was buzzing with gossip about the complicated relationships among me, Quincy, Anna, and Robin. I frowned and scolded Quincy. If you truly loved me, you would show it quietly through your actions, not by causing me trouble. I'll ignore you if you keep this up. Quincy, gritting his teeth, asked me, Penny, I've even donated a kidney. What more do I need to do for you to forgive me? I would never forgive him, but I always left him a glimmer of hope. Quincy, I want respect. I need to see your sincerity. After a long reflection, Quincy finally realized what the greatest gesture of sincerity could be. The Jones family possessed a hereditary emerald bracelet, not worth millions but of immense significance. Every heir of the Jones family had given this bracelet to a wife approved by the family. This bracelet had always adorned Quincy's mother's wrist. I had been with Quincy for 3 years, tirelessly, yet I never received the bracelet. Quincy's mother had considered giving it to Anna, but ultimately, it was never passed on. Quincy held a press conference and, in front of the nation, knelt before me with a red velvet box earnestly in his hands. Inside, the bracelet shone with a stunning purity. Penny, whether you wish to be with me or not, please accept this. It can only belong to you. The flashbulbs never stopped popping, and the shrieks and cheers were incessant. Meanwhile, Robin, who was pushed aside by Quincy's bodyguards, looked grim as night. Smiling, I accepted the bracelet and toyed with it in my hands for a moment, then looked down at Quincy and asked, since this bracelet is now mine, can I do whatever I want with it? Quincy, kneeling with hopeful eyes, replied, yes. Are you sure? Yes. With a snap, I let go of the bracelet, watching it shatter as it hit the floor. The room went silent instantly. Quincy stared blankly at the broken pieces on the floor, unable to comprehend what had happened. Oops, my hand slipped. Sorry about that. My expression remained calm as I turned and walked towards Robin. What was this so-called imperial green bracelet? Just a status symbol for the wealthy. As if being chosen by the Jones family was some sort of divine blessing. How could he be so noble? You, Robin couldn't seem to get the words out after a long pause, clearly shocked as well. What are you about? Come shopping with me. I slung Robin's arm over mine. I'll shop, you pay. Robin snapped back to reality, a big grin spreading across his face, as if it had reached the sky and was touching shoulders with the sun. All right then, let's not bother with Quincy. I'll buy you 100 bracelets. Worried that I might be upset, Robin played some music while driving. Penny, do you like this song? I do, yeah, and brother likes you too. After getting out of the car, I was in charge of the shopping spree, and Robin took care of the bills. While I was humming a tune and shopping, a series of hurried footsteps approached, growing louder. The chaotic clacking of high heels on the ground indicated the person was in a frantic, even furious mood. Turning around, I saw Anna. You wretch, you're supposed to be dead. Why can't you just disappear? Anna's face was contorted with anger as she reached out to grab my hair, but Robin blocked her with his arm, admiring my freshly done nails. I said nonchalantly, there's so much delicious food and fun in the world. I simply can't bear to leave it. Anna, if you find me so disagreeable, perhaps it's you who should die and be done with it. Anna, trembling with rage, pointed at me, her lips twitching. After calming down a bit, she burst out, Penny, you vile woman, why do you torment Quincy? Why tear us apart? You will never find peace in this life. You're wrong there. Heaven can hardly bear to take me, I replied with a smirk, watching Anna lose her composure. Look, I've died twice, and yet here I am, standing perfectly fine. As Anna cursed furiously and clawed at Robin's face, I kept my expression cold and doused her head with my milk tea. Quincy rushed over and pulled her away. Anna, you've really lost it. I love Penny, and I'm willing to do anything for her. What does that have to do with you? If it weren't for you, Penny and I wouldn't be in this mess. Anna was in tears. But Quincy, Penny doesn't love you anymore. Why are you still so stubborn? As the tension was palpable, a burnt smell hit my nose. an employee ran past frantically, shouting, "Run, there's a fire." Flames spread slowly from a distance, causing chaos in the mall, where amidst the shoving, Anna and I were pushed together. The sudden fire caught everyone off guard. To make matters worse, the fire extinguishers used during a recent fire drill hadn't been replenished, cosmetics spilled all over the counter, mixed with something flammable, and the flames magnified right in front of Anna and me, cutting us off from the evacuating crowd. "Quincy, save me," Anna cried out, desperately calling for Quincy, through the haze. I saw two figures rushing towards us, risking their lives, wrapped in wet clothes, choking on smoke. Quincy was the first to break through, his face severely burned. "Penny, don't be afraid," he said, ignoring Anna and rushing straight towards me. This time, Quincy chose me, but I no longer needed him. Another figure reached me first and lifted me up. "No time to talk, let's save one each." I heard Robin's voice and finally passed out in his arms, relieved. The fire in City A caused a huge sensation. Amidst calls for nationwide improvements in fire safety measures in malls, Quincy's disfigurement became a trending topic. The media sniffed a scandal involving a love quadrangle amidst the disaster. "Miss Penny, what exactly is your relationship with Mr. Quincy?" I fiddled with my hair. "Quincy and I have nothing to do with each other." As for Robin, I glanced at a nervous figure beside me. "He's my fiancé." That day, Robin had severe burns on his back. I must admit, when he walked through the fire and held me so firmly, I was dazzled by his bravery. Quincy ended up with Anna, possibly out of spite. They set their wedding on the same day as mine. Both weddings were broadcast live. Robin and I beamed with happiness. But Anna's wedding lacked a groom. Keen-eyed viewers noticed Quincy, who should have been at Anna's wedding, hiding at mine, watching me, the bride, with longing. "Robin, do you take Penny to be your wife, to live together in the covenant of marriage, to love her, comfort her, honor, and keep her, in sickness and in health, in poverty or in wealth, and forsaking all others, be faithful to her as long as you both shall live?" Robin's smile reached his ears. "I do." "Penny, do you take Robin to be your husband, to live together in the covenant of marriage, to understand him, support him, care for him, and cherish him, in sickness and in health, in poverty or in wealth, and forsaking all others, be faithful to him as long as you both shall live?" Holding back a smile, I replied with poise, "I do." Robin and I kissed, surrounded by a cascade of flowers. Below, Quincy's tears flowed freely. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.